On Chip Chat. No, sorry. It's 9:30 on a Thursday night. You're tuned in to Rip Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing. Tonight on Chip Chat,
we shall solve all the world's pressing issues.
That's right. That's our new tagline, I guess.
Yeah, right.
We just came up with it.
Right there. We're not solving anything.
We're not solving literally nothing. We've speculated on a bunch of random awful stuff.
Yeah.
Gotten ourselves in a bad mood just in time to do nominally comedy radio.
Yes. Very nominal.
Pretty smart.
Woo.
All right. We got a show.
We do.
I wrote some stuff, but now we're not. I don't even know if we're going to get to it. It is a special show. Most shows are special.
They're always special.
Yeah.
Once we make it in here and the lights go on and the cameras broadcast us out to the web.
On-air red blinky light comes on. It just, we become whatever the hell this is. I don't know what it is. But if you come to the Rippies December 18th, you get to see it too.
Yes, you do.
A lot of tickets have already been sold, by the way. So you might want to hurry up and get them. You need to go to ripradionetwork.com, which you might be on watching us right now or listening to us. But click the tab that says the Rippies. You can go to therippiesdc.com directly and buy your tickets, which you're going to want to do using the Chip Chat discount code.
Oh.
Yeah, if you use, code. I think it's Chip or maybe Chip Chat. I don't remember. It's one or the other. Try them both.
Let us know.
You get $5 off, which is good. You know, it makes this a very affordable night out.
Yeah, we got 5 on it.
Yeah, and we promise you a night of something.
Similar to Thursday nights.
Yeah, but with other people.
Yeah.
So it's a little less intense.
Exactly.
It's sort of like a manageable amount of us.
Because right now, if you're an avid listener, we just kind of live in your head
or you live in ours.
World, right?
It's like join us, will you, in our completely discombobulated brains full of rage and go-go music.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what to even describe what's in my head.
Tequila and whiskey.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Yeah.
It's 2 of the 4 horsemen.
It is.
That's right.
Look at these dead-ass birds.
Right.
I hope not.
They're coming to this show, too.
I hope not.
We'll have all the dead-ass birds. Speaking of dead-ass birds, Big Bird got vaxxed. We are going to talk about that. He is not dead.
Nah, flying high.
He is doing just fine. If I can
boost it up.
Yeah. Look at that. That's
putting
my
the vaccine
booster.
into salad dressing.
That's right. They're putting it in the salad dressing. I had a salad tonight. It was full of Moderna.
You're fully connected.
Yeah. So I got boosted. Actually, yesterday. Yeah. Talk to Samson. I think that's how the song goes, right? It's close enough.
Close.
Yeah. So I got my booster, and then my arm is still kind of sore.
Yeah.
Since it was yesterday afternoon, and then I felt a little hungover this morning, but by about 2:30 I was fine.
Yeah.
So,
and let folks know about people are afraid that if they get vaccinated, certain things might not happen, whether it's fertility or
I can promise you that it doesn't affect fertility. as my third will be born in January.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, it's definitely true. But I have not noticed that I stuck to my refrigerator. I don't play the Windows sound every time I walk into a room.
Okay.
So, I think it's fine. As a matter of fact, I'm a Survivor, a Johnson, and now Pfizer, so I feel pretty protected. I feel good. Not good enough to, go be around Ted Cruz, but, I feel pretty good.
So there you have it. And again, like, I know more folks who have had your experience and my experience versus the experiences that other folks seem to, like to put out there. That's just my research.
It's actually so.
That's right. My research. This is my research.
You also watched YouTube for like 3 hours and decided stuff.
I talk to people in real life who have real situations, and there it is.
I'm boosted. My wife gets boosted tomorrow night.
Okay.
And our oldest gets her shot next week. So we're very excited about that. And hopefully, this will keep rolling and our next one can get, we're trying to, I'm tired of being scared about what I'm bringing home. And so the relief that I'm about to experience once she's through the protocol I can't wait for that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, as a parent, I don't know what else to call it, but it's terrifying every day, basically. So anyway, we're going to talk about Big Bird getting his vaccine. Virginia.
Yeah, I'm interested.
The Commonwealth.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Might not actually be able to govern itself in the next legislative session. We're going to find out about that. We've got other stuff here. Teslas.
Yes.
Not just fast. Also potentially very deadly.
I mean, same story.
Yeah. Could be good. We'll find out. New Zealand. That's a place.
Yeah.
Do you know about New Zealand?
I didn't know about the New Zealand story. No.
It's an island down there, kind of
yes,
away from everything else. It's by itself in the middle of the South Pacific.
Yeah, it seems like after Pangaea and whatnot decided to get
just sort of left alone. Well, 6,000 years ago when God was making the world.
Excuse me.
It was like, these Kiwis need to be away from everybody else. They drink far too much. You just put them over there.
I forgot about the common myths that allow us to get along.
That's right.
Sorry. Oh, God.
Plus, we've got coup updates and a whole bunch more stuff. It's going to be a crazy show. I can promise you that.
No guests will be off the rail in T-minus 3 minutes.
What do we call this? We're DJing for ourselves.
Yeah, we're DJing for ourselves again.
Yeah, that's fine. Nobody else cares. All right. So do you have a word? I've got a word. I think I have a word. I do have a word.
I have a word.
Okay. I have a word. It's a pretty common word today, actually. All right, we'll find out. So sit back, grab some
cookies.
It's Crocodile Tears time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network. Sleeps. Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm Chip, by the way. I don't think we did intros.
We did those at all.
People, we take you for granted.
I know.
It's in almost 7 years. You know who we are.
First time.
Who are you?
Listeners. I'm Tez. What's poppin'?
Yeah. Also, much to the chagrin, I'm pretty sure, of White Tiger, our producer, the Ravens are tied with the awful Dolphins. And if you're a listener to this network, that was very funny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How you feeling there, White Tiger? He's got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, man.
That's good.
Yeah. That's what the Green Ranger and Power Rangers turned into. The White Tiger, yeah. That's what he turned into.
I wasn't a Power Rangers guy.
Yeah.
The Captain Planet kind of guy.
Oh, well, yeah, but see, Captain Planet, I think, came on before the original. Yeah.
I'm old.
Like 4 o'clock. No, but it came on before that. But it came on in the I think it was like 4 o'clock Captain Planet and 4:30 might have been Power Rangers.
I was already
you already were going outside?
I think I was in middle school by the time Power Rangers came out.
Okay, yeah, so there's that gap right there.
I would have already been like, that's dumb. I was like, I'd run in and get my Animaniacs fix and dip
out. Yeah. Such a great show. And they brought it back.
Yeah. All right, so coup updates.
Coup updates.
All right, as you
Not cool updates either.
No.
Coup.
Coup, as in French for we don't know how to spell coup.
A few moments later.
Right. That's right on cue.
Right.
White Tiger is really good at his job. So the FBI wanted this dude. His name is Newman. Newman. Evan Newman.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you look at it. If you see this picture of him, if you're looking on the graphic, this dude looks like he's tried to overthrow the government a number of times.
His boots say it all.
Yeah. Well, they're very clean for somebody who has work boots. I mean, I wear work boots every day. They don't look like that. Not
Those
a
are
chance.
Well polished.
Right. So Newman was busy trying to overthrow the government. The FBI wants him. Here he's got some sort of weird scarf or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
It's big, the European soccer scarf.
Yeah,
it has that type of energy.
Sort of like that, but
I don't know. It probably is saying something about overthrowing the government.
Yeah. Where we go one, we go all.
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever. Yeah. All right, so this dude, he's facing 6 charges. And
only 6?
Yeah, only 6.
On Jan 6.
And, hey, 6.
One more, and then you're Reagan.
Happy Veterans Day, by the way. All right, so... Well, we're doing, numerology stuff.
Yes.
The 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The guns fell silent.
It's 9:41.
That's true. All right.
60 degrees, Washington, D.C.
That's right. WAMU, call us. So this dude, they want him for 6 different charges. That's a lot of federal charges. He's not here, though. Where'd he go, Tez?
Didn't he go to Belarus?
He did. First he fled to Italy in March on advice of a lawyer.
What law firm?
Yeah,
that's when I read this. I just wanted to know where's the law firm that's giving out. After I've overlooked all of this, he's just fleeing.
You should
Do you still have your passport? Did they take it? Okay, get out of here.
Yeah. Leave.
I'll leave.
Yeah, it was the law firm of Disbard and Giuliani.
That's good.
That's good, yeah. So he flees to Italy. Then somehow, once he's in Europe, he slips over into Ukraine for a little while. He was there for about 4 months. Then he left Ukraine and slipped into Belarus. Now, what you might not know about Belarus is it's the last dictatorship in Europe.
Yes.
It's run by this guy named Alexander Lukashenko, who has... I'm not making this up, laws that prohibit people from taking a picture of the back of his head so nobody can see how bald he is. The dude's insane.
He is. Just come home.
One time he fed Steven Seagal a bunch of carrots, which I'm not making that up either. That's crazy.
Look it up.
Yeah. So then he gets to Belarus and he's just hanging out there. And Belarus hates everything good. Everything good. And so they turned him into something of a national hero.
They did.
And they made a holiday for him, and they said that he was
there was a good quote in there. He said
he was the same type of simple American whose shops were burned by Black Lives Matter activists, adding that he lost almost everything and is being persecuted by the U.S. government only because he sought justice and asked uncomfortable questions.
White grievance.
Yes. Translates all the way to Europe, where there are no people of color. Belarus, do you want to know what Belarus means?
No, I'm not familiar.
Rus is like Russian.
Right.
Bela means white. Like beluga whale?
Yeah.
They are the white Russians. That is what Belarus means. If you are a white supremacist fleeing America, or, anywhere, Belarus is where you should go. And we will help pay to get you there. Just get out of our country. Does that seem fair?
I guess if you
What if
you
we
don't
started
like
a
it,
GoFundMe to mail white supremacists to Belarus? Because right now, Belarus is actually doing that to Europe. Belarus is sending charter flights into Syria and Turkey to collect refugees, flying them to Minsk, then having the Belarusian border guards take them to the border with Poland and I think Lithuania, and then helping them illegally cross into Poland and therefore into the EU. And the Polish army has actually had to come and like stand there on the border to send these people back. And the Belarus government is using human beings as weapons to target the Europeans. And the Europeans were like, well, we're going to put more sanctions on you, Belarus. And they're like, if you do that, we're going to cut your fucking gas off.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
the gas pipelines from Russia run through Belarus.
There's a Europe is a very precarious place.
I mean, it's been a little while. They're due for a world war, you know.
Oh, don't say.
What?
I mean, no, you're right. You're probably right, but we're not wishing that.
They have a rule about that, right? It's like every 60 years they got to do, you know.
Something. I mean, there's enough things that could drum up.
From like 1870 to 1911 is like what, 40 years,
right? About that.
And then from 1911 to 1939 is like almost, you know, the same amount of time. They skipped one because of the Russians and the Cold War and stuff. So now they're due for like a super world war.
The internet kind of slowed us down, slowed everything down a little bit.
Maybe the EU actually worked.
Maybe
they tied them all together.
Maybe.
Just kick Poland out. They did that before. It's
fair,
right?
There we go.
This is terrible. We're gonna wreck the world.
I was like, I don't know if that's the right.
Don't
move.
listen to this show.
Listen to this
we're
show.
really sorry about that. All right. The other thing to talk about in the coup, this story got out of date by the time we got here on air. So like a couple of key things have happened. The House Select Committee issued a bunch more subpoenas. They want to talk to even more of the Trump people. And now it's some of the like, you know, the named players that we know.
Right.
It's not just these utility infielders anymore, but it's like, you know, Jason Miller, Stephen Miller, not related, Michael Flynn. We've got Bernie Carrick, who was running the operation there in the Willard Hotel. This girl who nobody's heard of before, Angela McCallum. I can't find not a shred of anything on her. I think Colbert called her Backup Tiffany, which sounds about right. But Flynn, Stepien, these guys, Stepien was like deputy chief of staff for a little while. And very importantly, Eastman, John Eastman. This is the dude who wrote the playbook.
Yes, his is the one.
For the coup.
Yeah, he tries to put the law behind it.
Yeah, and who called Mike Pence on the day of and goes, this siege is your fault because you didn't do what we asked you to do. And then denied that he did that despite it being on record. And then, like, talked to the press a lot about his role in this and tried to, like, defend it, why he wrote this legal framework for a coup. But now he's going to claim executive privilege. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it. It's
no.
Like, but you already waived that because you talked to everybody. And also, your guy's not the president
I was going to say, there's where it all falls apart is that these folks, we thought so. But, I mean, that these folks are not even these folks. The records and their testimony is not protected by the Oval Office at this point and the executive branch. And I think also it's important on why. Because I think sometimes folks are like, well, what's the point of going down this road? And like,
that's what I want to
do. But I think, right, Congress is supposed to be a check on the executive branch and they have subpoena power. And this is the reason you build these committees.
They kind of have subpoena power.
They kind of have subpoena power, but.
And this is where
this is where it goes back and forth.
Yeah, we get to this problem. So they subpoenaed a bunch of records from the Trump administration. Trump had to give this very specific list to the archives about what he didn't want the Select Committee to get, which in so doing divulged a lot of information.
Yeah, you basically have highlighted everything to say, hey, I don't want this. And it's like, all right,
don't give them the book on this. Don't give them the memo about this. Don't give them the, So, all right, but they went to court and they're like, there's no executive privilege here. You can't have it. And the judge ruled that's exactly right. Presidents aren't kings, and Trump is not president anymore, which I guarantee that was the favorite part of that ruling. And it took 21
gavel
minutes.
After.
Yeah, it took 21 minutes from the second that they filed the appeal to when the order was issued. So they had it ready to go.
Yeah, of course.
Judge was ready.
Yeah.
But then the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals stayed that ruling. So instead of us getting all these documents, and by us I mean the Select Committee, of which I, of course, am a member.
Yeah.
Instead of getting those records on Friday at 6 p.m., now they got to wait until November 30th for hearings about this. And this is very typical of the Trump playbook. You know you're dead to right, but you can drag it out to the point where it gets buried or nobody cares or you wait out the clock.
And not even, like, when we say the Trump playbook, we're not talking about the presidency. This is just the orbit of Trump. The whole life is this litigation.
Just endless litigation and endlessly running the clock. Yeah, it's very Al Davis. That's right. Yeah, or his awful son. So Brian loves his awful son. I bet his favorite person in the whole AFC. Yeah, Brian thinks White Tiger's not amused at my bad football jokes today.
No. He looked over and was like, get out of here.
John Gruden loves him.
Yeah, they could be doppelgangers.
He fired him so he didn't have to take the heat.
Well,
it's fantastic. All right, so anyway, now the subpoenas are in question, not the subpoenas for these people, but for like the records. I'm pretty sure it gets overturned. But there's been this really stupid argument going on in progressive circles about, well, Congress's subpoena power and these select committees, they're not really supposed to be criminal investigations. They're supposed to be about legislation. So they're trying to gain information so that they can then write new laws to maybe prevent something like this from happening in the future.
Which is huge because we need to bring back some type of control from the executive branch. Which might have its own issues based on the Congress that we have, but it's exceptionally salient at this moment because we can't get voting rights passed or anything like that. If you can show, Congress can show that this is basically what happens when we don't have decent laws governing voting and vote counting and accountability between the states and all of that kind of stuff, which it does, then it makes a pretty good case for a voting rights bill, which I thought we had, but Joe Manchin hates us. Joe. His bill. Huh?
He wrote it. Twice. They give him 2 chances. He was like, well, we shouldn't do voting rights unless it's bipartisan. They were like, all right, you go write it. And if you can get support for it, we'll go along with it, even if it has voter ID and a bunch of other shit we don't like. And he goes out and he shops it to the Republicans and they go, fuck no, this might let brown people vote. We're not doing that. Get out of here, Joe. And so he comes back to the Democrats and he goes, see, told you they were going to burn. He goes, all right, let me have one more chance at it. Let me change it to give them even more of the stuff they want. And so he goes back and he's like, all right, we took out all the stuff that the good guys like, but how about if we just make like Election Day a national holiday and like allow early voting to exist?
It was a national holiday if the polling station is so far, at least you can walk there.
Yeah.
Walk back by the time you start your job the next day.
We can't have that. That might let people vote. And we can't win if they vote, which they've said directly.
Yeah, it's insane.
So then he comes back to Schumer and them, and he's like, all right, well, that didn't work. And they go, all right, so can you, like, break the filibuster now so we can, like, have voting rights? And he goes, well, see, the thing about that is I don't actually want voting rights because I'm Joe Manchin, opponent of voting rights and noted white supremacist.
And I'm saying that I want this branch of the government to gain control,
to be in charge of stuff,
back for the executive. I don't know. That's what NSL government told me.
To this dumb thing is that in progressive circles, there's this conversation about Congress using this as an example to pass laws to strengthen their subpoena power, which is blatantly unconstitutional. Because even if they pass a law that says that the Justice Department is somehow compelled to enforce a subpoena from the legislative branch, not a chance, because the executive executes and the legislative writes.
Yeah.
And it's not going to it's not going to hold water in court. I don't care what court. I would rule against that. So, no dice. We're stuck. And the Justice Department are a bunch of babies. They don't want to do anything. Or they're waiting until they have everything so completely airtight that they're going to just slam them with it. But again, what is the goal here?
And then, we're close to midterm season where
you're in contempt of Congress, Steve Bannon. We're going to throw you in jail. I don't give a shit.
It doesn't work. And
yeah, Steve Bannon. He's like, whatever. They give me 2 shirts. I'm fine. And he's,
his podcast will probably still come out.
Right, yeah. You think Stephen Miller hates jail? It's like dank and dark, and it's perfect for snakes. He's going to love it in there. Have a great time.
I think that this, what's her name? Angela McCollum?
Yeah.
Who's this?
She's going to turn. She's going to talk.
If you're the executive assistant to the Trump campaign, that a national guy,
and she's like 29,
she probably has.
She has like a career in front of her.
The documents, the documents you have are probably like. You can probably tie it together if you're the executive assistant.
You probably saw a lot of
everything
stuff.
And like whether it's the calendars or it's everything. I think that might be the person where you might find out.
And the other thing
something
to always remember is that because these people are all like deranged criminals, none of them trust each other. So there's 100% chance that they are keeping records of everything that the other guys do, essentially to keep them honest, keep them dishonest. Don't you tell on me, or I'll tell on all the stuff that you did.
Right. Yeah. That's an interesting point to think. Like all of them go into it. I think a good majority of them. But if I'm there and I'm just like working and I see something like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of go along with this. I might still do the same thing because I'm like, hey. Just in case,
this is just hypothetical.
I'm not a criminal. I just work here. But hey, look, take what you want.
This is just a hypothetical. But let's say you're in a meeting with somebody who you don't trust. Do you record everything? Hypothetically, I'm not saying you've done that.
It just depends.
Or that I've done that.
Right.
I'm just saying hypothetically. Wouldn't you?
Hey.
Hypothetically.
That's all I'm saying.
So you get the idea.
You don't know my life,
right? I'm not going to ask either. That's a hypothetical.
Exactly.
Also, Giuliani somehow gets into the story because, of course, he was there with Carrick at the Willard in the quote-unquote war room. What I really want to know, and I don't know if this subpoena is going to give us this, is how much Rudy drank in these 2 days while planning the insurrection. And the reason I want to know this is because I want to see if it's similar to, say, some amount I may have consumed over a 2 or 3 day span and see what kind of crazy ideas I came up with in that same period of time versus what he did with his trial by combat. Because if it's possible that, like, he drank an, trash can of wine and I go, all right, well, if I drank that much, I'd probably say something. You know what, Rudy, you're off. You're off the hook. You were just drunk. You're not evil. You're just drunk and stupid.
Right.
I want to see if that's true. I'm not saying it is.
Of course not.
I'm just saying, it's a chance.
America's mayor.
That's right.
Woo, what a time.
What a timeline to live in.
What a timeline. Yeah, I trust. Yes, you were there. I was.
Maybe right. That's not even a year ago. Like, we live here. Yeah. I remember watching this, live. I had people on the Hill, texting me, hey, they're in the building. Oh, shit, I got to go.
No, the anniversary's coming up.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh, I don't know. We got to have a party.
Right?
What do you get somebody for their first coup anniversary? Is it silver or is it silk? What is it? Tin? It's tin.
Tin, yeah. Some press probably.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's only the first anniversary.
It's only the first one.
Yeah. You get to... What did we give everybody on the first year of...
you know what day it falls on.
What day is it? Is it a Thursday?
It is a Thursday.
Oh, my God, yes! We are going to have such a party. I'm Ubering to the studio that night.
Right?
It's going to be awesome. We should get guests. We'll get some of the survivors. I know a few.
Well, I mean, we can't have a party then.
No, we can have them tell the story about how they, beat the Trumpistas back.
Oh my God!
That's what happened.
If we have enough, we can run the whole show from the beginning to end. Just have back-to-back story.
Let me make a few calls.
Yeah, let's see what we can do.
I think we can do that. All right, and that was your coup updates.
There it is.
Thanks for tuning in to Tip Chat. We've
come back for the anniversary.
We've dispelled your hope in the American experiment. I don't know what to say about this, but it's only going to get worse. And I don't know what the stated outcome or the goal is, because I don't think that putting these guys in prison is going to accomplish anything. to be perfectly honest.
Eventually, we'll wake up.
White Tiger's got something to say.
Is there another guy who's part of this mess that you want to talk about? Or you want to hold that off till later?
The other guy who's part of this mess that we want to talk about. I think he's later in the show.
Okay. So we'll be back.
Yes. We will be back to talk about more of this guy. Because, we kind of covered it already. It was in this section here about, I don't know what to call that. It was about the subpoena that the archive thing.
Well, there's another insurgent who got indicted, but it's not just that guy; it's his lawyer.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get to that.
Yes,
yes.
It's called teaser, folks.
Yes,
there it is, radio tease. Look at that.
White Tiger's on today. He's got the sound effects. He's doing teases. He's working in the booth somehow, and his Ravens are tied to the Dolphins. Losing to the Dolphins. Losing to the Dolphins. It's almost as bad as losing to the WTFs.
No one understands.
That's yeah.
Dolphins, though? No one knows the sport. That's why I don't watch.
Sports ball. All right, we're going to take a break.
Yeah.
Check out the scores on the sports ball. You're listening to Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
Sweeps.
You think you know me?
Your black feel like business to me. Industry lies never line up on screen. You keep scoring, I feel like the dream. Yeah, what you want? Tell them to think I've been real from the start. Never hesitate to shoot at the star. Stocked up on weapons and pussy and cars. Just thought you should know. Look at this lane that I made, it was fake. And these veggie grill niggas don't really want beef. Real niggas dying and fakers replace them. Now I see my 10, they all in y'all beats. Talk, it's just wrapped up back up what they talk. From me got so much smoke in my heart. Like I'm gifted and grew up on God. Yeah, shorty want dick, money and leverage. 1 out of 3 feel like when I'm in it. Peggy to go, like the feds. As soon as you see me, you know that it's finished. And how can you tell that he's winning? Floating right through the pandemic, no limits. Stunning creatively, don't got a vision. I die for my pride, you be hiding in gimmicks. Rock with a switch, turning vegan to spinach. PM50, we ain't beefing you dinner. Turn the I'll do it right into who did it. Some of you get speakers, should just buy a ticket. Choking the death of the simplest fire. Giving these old niggas hope when I die. Call up my mama and hang up the line. Money got me feeling wet like I'm tired. Hard, when I go out to the Peggy ain't give up before. Fuck em. Dirty.
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, before we get into the next stuff, I do want to quickly make mention that Friday, Soul Chakra from our guest from a couple weeks ago, Count Fifth, comes out. He's having an event, if you're local here in the D.C. area, at the Springfield Mall, at the Records and Rarity store, where the record, and I think he's even got tapes, will be available. Yeah,
dope.
And all kinds of cool stuff. You can get a signed copy. So go check him out. Google
folks ain't doing that no more.
Count Fifth. That's Count with a K, Fifth, F-I-F, in case you're wondering. And the record is called Soul Chakra. Also, while we're talking about things that you can buy, you can go to theripshop.com and buy some Chip Chat merch.
Right before the Rippies.
Yeah, which you could wear to the Rippies that we're hosting.
There you go.
Like how I did that? It all works.
Just weave it right in.
Yeah. And if you are willing to go to the Rippies page, you can vote for us, which we want you to do.
Yes, please.
Like a lot. Vote early, vote often.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
If you listen to this show.
The Chicago version. We're gonna do a lot of voting. Get your dead relatives to vote. You can vote from all the different IPs you have. You can vote each day.
Still working on the bot.
You've got your phone. You've got your laptop. You've got your computer at work. You've got your browser within Instagram. You've got your browser within Facebook. Your browser within, there's like a bunch of them. I think they all have different IPs.
Yes.
You would know. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, they probably wouldn't have different.
Maybe they do, right?
Maybe they could.
You can use a Tor or
VPN, maybe.
VPN, yeah. DuckDuckGo. That'll get you another one.
There you go.
So, if you're not voting for us 10 times a day, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Why are you even here?
If you're listening to this, then you should be voting for it.
Yeah. I vote for us at least 10 times a day.
Well, so should win.
No.
No, I know.
We're not going to win. Okay. Before we get to the next segment, because it involves legal matters, I want to show you an example of what a lawyer should definitely look like. Okay, are you ready for this? Brian, throw this graphic up on the screen here. Yeah. What we're about to look at, is the lawyer of one of the coup insurrection guys.
Okay.
This is the lawyer. This is him. This is not what he looked like when he went into court, though. Let's see if we can show the picture of what he looked like in court, because he came out and announced that his defendant had lost his case and was going to jail for like 2 years or whatever, 3 years. This is how he addressed the media.
With the faux locks.
With the white guy locks in a bun or whatever. I don't know what to call this thing that's happening in front of us here.
Is that tweed? No, is it?
And a bow tie. Like a wool knit bow tie. To go with his wool sweater. One. Yeah. And whatever this thing on his head is.
Yo.
Would you get this guy to... and look at his ears, because, he's a fighter or whatever.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
So he's got like this cross between... Well, not on that. This one here just screams. It's like Turner, Hooch, and Associates.
Yeah.
Like, this here is an insane one.
Turner, Hooch, and Associates.
This one here with the ears, it's like a mix between like the Lord of the Rings, like... Frodo, and I don't even know. Like,
I don't know what to call this.
What's my man from Street? Was it Akuma? Was it Akuma from Street Fighter who had the hair up like that? I don't know what.
I have no idea what this is.
I'm just trying to give a visual for folks who might not.
So this is sort of this. Pudgy Buff, I think is the word to call him. White guy.
Is that Pudgy Buff? I thought it was a stage name.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Pudgy Buff.
You should show the his.
You want to show his client?
His client, yeah.
Let's take a look at the client.
Who do you represent?
Who lost with this guy as his lawyer? He lost.
Wow.
There he is. This guy. Scott Fairlane is going to jail for like 42 months or something like that for trying to overthrow the government and storming the Capitol and breaking a bunch of things and punching some cops along the way. Because remember, back the blue.
They all have... I mean, the one way they might have thought they could have got away with this is that how did anybody pick these folks out? They're all wearing like the same garb.
Yeah, they have like a uniform, right?
Yeah, it's a uniform.
Some might say that means they're organized.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they are, because I was at a beer festival over the weekend, and like all the dudes were wearing the same thing. I don't think they talk to each other, and all the women were wearing the same thing. Also, I don't think they talk to each other. I think there's just this extreme uniformity that comes with these kind of events,
right?
And I was working there, so all the brewery representatives all look exactly alike too. We all have. There's no guy who represents a brewery with a clean shaven face.
You wouldn't trust him.
It's right. So it's all these like bearded guys in branded hoodies and cargo pants. Like 100%. And then there's me in my like work jacket because I don't care.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I did have cargo pants on though.
The law, like the lawyers that we see and these, it just seems to be
I mean, look, principle,
dress how you want to dress, I guess.
Yeah, on principle, like, it shouldn't matter what he looks like, right? It matters how well you can lawyer. But in this case, how do you take him seriously? Your Honor, sorry, I was staring at your weird dog. Like, what's good? What's up with this turtleneck, buddy? Like, Your Honor, I'm wearing a suit today. I know, but your Instagram is, like, right here. I can't not see it.
Yo,
can you unsee that now?
No, it is.
I know what you're going to be seeing when you're driving home tonight.
Oh my! Yo, I want to get home safe.
It's burned in your retinas.
Right?
White Tiger would grow that too if he could. But
that guy's name should be White Tiger. The way he looks.
No, that's his name, right? White Tiger Esquire. It's 100%.
White Tiger.
That's it. All right. So speaking of law stuff. Here's this like really inside baseball tricky thing. Virginia.
Yes.
You know that? It's a state. It's one of the original ones in the 13 with the colonies. Jamestown.
Yeah, didn't they? This is
1619.
I would say something happened there. Some stuff happened.
All right, so the Fair Commonwealth has...
the Fair Commonwealth.
Yeah, have the General Assembly.
Sorry.
Which is like our Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the Senate, state Senate. The General Assembly is the oldest continuously operating democratic body in these United States, going back to the House of Burgesses, way back in the 16 blah, blah, blahs. Okay. But we have come to an existential problem with this. The Virginia Constitution requires that in a census year, that the new districts be drawn, voted on, and then elected to before the next session of the General Assembly, which would be fine, right? We just had an election.
Yep.
And so those members who won in November would then be seated after this last lame duck session, and everything should be fine, peachy keen, right? Except that no new districts have been drawn. In part because there's some partisan wrangling and fighting over that and figuring out how to gerrymander black folks out of more votes or whatever. But that even was delayed. And that was delayed because the census results were delayed because the Trump administration intentionally fucked with the census. They went to court over a bunch of stuff. They wanted to use it to hunt Mexicans. It was a whole big thing. And then they like cut the count short. Then they didn't publish the results.
Along with the pandemic. Like on top of that. Like
plus the pandemic and all that.
You add that on top of the delays that they
but they could have got around that. It was the intentional delays that were going on before the pandemic even happened that set this up for failure. So as it currently stands, the people who were elected back to the General Assembly this last election, just a couple weeks ago in November, were elected on the old maps, which maybe makes their whole session, next upcoming session, unconstitutional.
Which is a very quirky kind of like...
Well, the Republicans won and got their seats enough to take over. But once the districts get redrawn, and maybe if we can actually organize and not have Terry McAuliffe dragging everybody down, if this goes to a redo, which is one of the conceivable outcomes here, that the court could rule.
When you say a redo of...
Like have an extra redo of the election for the General Assembly. Instead of an off here, we could potentially be having a special election for the entire 100-member General Assembly with the new maps.
Because there's now the new drawn maps, and that would be what the Constitution says it should. Like, it's not even like
it
fair.
It
has to be that.
So if they swear in this recently elected crop of representatives, of delegates where the Republicans won, who were elected in this calendar year, 2021, for the 2021 off year election, somebody, I don't know who, me, maybe, could make the case that they are not constitutionally eligible to sit for a session because they were elected without the redrawing of the maps after the decennial census. And therefore, nothing they do is legitimate. So they might sit, pass a law, and instantly get it thrown out in court. And then they just sort of sit around and wait for the next election and
what does that do to governance, though? I guess is the question there.
Well,
is that preventing?
Yes, it stops it.
Right.
Because whatever agenda Youngkin has literally can't pass. Everything that is in the legislative branch of the Commonwealth is now illegitimate until the next election after the drawing of the map. And they can't have no government for a whole year.
I was going to say, right.
So what are you going to do? You'll call a special election, in which case we have a chance to take back control.
I'm trying to think through what the play is going to be from them.
From the
Republicans, yeah. I'm just trying to think on like what.
I mean, it's directly written into the Constitution. It's not like they can make a case. They're like, all right, but we need an exception because of COVID or whatever. There's no legal way to make that true. They might be right. You know, there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. The courts will have to rule on this.
The courts will have to rule on this. And then we know with the courts, well,
it's a Virginia State Supreme Court. It doesn't go to federal court. It's a state Supreme Court issue.
But I guess in there, then how do they interpret that rule of the Constitution?
It's not an interpretable thing. It says that the next session.
It's a Constitution, so they're going to interpret, but they're going to say based on the situations.
But there isn't it doesn't say the next session happens after the redrawing unless some crazy shit goes down. It says it happens after the drawing.
Right, but who slowed down the census?
Trump?
Which is the federal government.
Okay.
Right, and I think is there no argument?
The reasonable argument is there's a lot of extenuating circumstances here, and so let's just let this one go.
That's the reasonable argument.
But that's not the constitutional argument.
Right. I'd be very interested to see where this plays out.
You know, the reasonable argument is that a well-regulated militia, blah, blah, blah,
right.
says, reasonably we shouldn't all have tanks. But constitutionally, it doesn't say no tanks.
I know, but there was people interpreted what that was said, and they make it that now. That's what it is now.
But it explicitly says.
It
explicitly says that this has to be this way. I'm looking for the quote to see if there's anything. Well, it's not in here, but it's explicit that this session would be unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So the two things that could happen are a special election or they just sit on their hands and wait for the constitutionally legitimate session.
Right.
Which would have to happen after another eletion. So it would take the first 2 years.
2 years, I was going to say.
Out from underneath Glenn Youngkin. Either way, there's either a chance for the Democrats to win back control of the House of Delegates, or
special election
it hamstrings Glenn Youngkin for 2 years.
Special election, I feel like should be what happens, and I think makes a logical sense.
It does make sense,
but I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some tricky shit with that.
Can we out-organize them?
Yes, that's where there. Again, you got to.
We should send Terry to Sacramento or something. Go over there, and we left our oven on. Go check. And, whoop, he's gone. All right, quick, let's actually do a campaign. And then we could win.
Well, I mean, it feels like from the last show, it sounds like there are people in, Virginia that could actually run a successful campaign. And I mean, that's what I took away from the last episode.
We should let Charlie run,
I was going to say
the
Charlie
special
seems
election campaign for the Dems. We should, if Charlie gets to run like any real campaign, it's 100% going to win, but it's also going to be the funniest campaign anybody's ever run. He actually ran for lieutenant governor.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. His platform was that he was going to have an army of cats to do all of the state's work. It was a very legitimate campaign promise because, you know, cats.
Cats. Yeah.
You can just grab them. All right. Let's talk about Big Bird and Ted Cruz.
Woo!
Now, that sentence sounds pretty stupid, but don't worry, it gets stupider. You know who Big Bird is, right?
Yeah, he's
You've been on planet Earth for the last, however many years.
Yeah, there's a picture. It's one of the pictures of a youth just staring up at Big Bird on a very.
Oh, did you met him?
No. For some reason, my parents decided to put the TV on the top of those old school, like we had the receiver and all that, and one of those big entertainment systems. The TV was like at the highest, so like I'm in this small rocking chair of mine,
staring at Big Bird.
Yeah, but like just looking straight up. I don't know why they did that. Probably so I couldn't touch the damn TV.
Right,
that's what it was.
So you're familiar with Big Bird?
Yeah, he's big and he's yellow.
He is yellow, and he's 6 years old.
Yeah,
he's been 6 years old for 50 years. Yeah, which is a thing that can happen with Muppets.
Elmo's 3.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you may remember that DJ TJ and the rest of the Republicans were in a huge fit about how the left was about to cancel the Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
They were very mad about this.
They were very upset about this.
What they were actually mad about was that Disney Plus started putting warnings on their stuff that said, hey, this contains dated references and tobacco use.
Definitely didn't cancel it. Still comes on.
Definitely didn't cancel it. It's definitely still on. My kids were watching Muppet Babies as I was walking out the door today. So just so you know.
Nothing ever seems to actually be canceled.
Nothing. And
we gotta get out these words, man. We gotta get these things out.
They don't know. Remember, they know the best words, all the words.
Yeah, all the words.
Yeah. Sarah Palin taught them words. Okay.
What a time.
So they were very worried about the left canceling the Muppets.
Yes.
Okay. I want to read you
Go ahead.
a tweet from Big Bird.
From
Big Bird tweets.
Big Bird.
Yeah, at Big Bird. This is the official Twitter of Big Bird, which, as we discussed, is a Muppet on a kids show produced for 50 years that we all have watched. Like, everybody on the planet knows who Big Bird is.
Everyone, yeah.
He even went to China a bunch of times.
Yeah, a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He's always on the Great Wall.
Yeah.
I
remember when he went to Japan and he was like, why does everybody keep saying Ohio? And it was a different time. It was the 80s. It was fine to make fun of Japan then. All right, so here's the actual tweet. They were stealing all our cars.
Oh, that's the one you go for. I gotcha.
Here's the actual tweet from Big Bird. Quote, I got the COVID-19 vaccine today. My wing is feeling a little sore, but it'll give my body an extra protective boost that keeps me and others healthy. Miss at Erica R. Hill even said, I've been getting vaccines since I was a little bird. I had no idea. Close quote. At no point in this did he even tell other birds to get vaccinated. Just that he got his.
Yeah, he did not. It wasn't really like a huge promotion. Just more of like, hey, I'm Big Bird and this is what I did. Like everybody else on social media.
It was exactly what your Twitter looks like.
Exactly. It's what everybody else does.
I'm eating a burrito. It's like nobody fucking cares, Big Bird.
I'm giving useless national updates all baseball
season. Your Twitter reads like a random old man shouting on his porch.
Exactly. It is that.
Isn't it, though?
It is that.
Yeah, okay. So Big Bird did his Tez impression.
Yes.
Ted Cruz lost his ever-loving mind. He posted some weird doctored video of Big Bird busting through a door and called this government propaganda. Now, It's a ridiculous stretch to call anything Sesame Street does government anything because it's not funded by the government.
It's HBO and Amazon, ain't it?
It's mostly HBO now. Yeah, they bought all of it. And to the extent that there is any like federal money in the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, does not in fact make Elmo or Big Bird or Snuffy or even Oscar like actual government propaganda. Remember they got mad at Oscar for having a news show?
Oh yeah,
where it was like Grouch News or Pox News or whatever,
something
and
like that.
It was it looked vaguely like Fox.
Yeah, it did look exactly
like you fucking triggered little babies. And actual babies watch Sesame Street, and they are less triggered than... My kids cry when I tell them, no, it's not time to go outside right now. Ted Cruz cries because Big Bird got a vaccine, who is not real.
He's not real.
Nothing about this is real.
Oh, look at this.
So, like...
oh, my God. They've repurposed the books.
It turned into this crazy, crazy thing where the right wing, led by Ted Cruz, lost their ever-loving minds about Big Bird getting vaccinated. And they made it out like he was telling other people to get vaccinated, which the direct tweet to which Ted Cruz responded, so he definitely read it, did not include the words, you should also get nothing. Wasn't even the word you in this tweet anywhere. Was there? Is there the word you? No. I'm looking for it. I don't even see it. It's all I statements.
I got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Since I was a little bird.
Yeah. It was a lot of eyes in that.
So unless Ted Cruz is having some identity crisis where he thinks he might also be Big Bird, which would explain his trip to Cancun.
Flying south.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm glad somebody picked up on that. I'm looking at the camera like the audience is supposed to. I feel like Seth Meyers in the closet. I know. Which was a better show when there was no audience, by the way. Yeah, it was really funny.
I don't know. This one's... Again, we know why Ted Cruz does this is because you tweet it and this stokes up the...
Yeah, and it earns him money. He's fundraising. He obviously knows better. That idiot's vaccinated. His kids are vaccinated. His wife's vaccinated. Of course, his very ugly, unattractive, sad sack, I can't believe she exists wife, according to... his boss, Trump.
He did say that.
Yeah, he said all that stuff about Heidi Cruz.
I was like, hey, sir, calm down.
And Ted Cruz, like,
former president,
was like, yes, sir, may I have another? That was awesome.
Look, man, I mean, Big Bird has the freedom to do what Big Bird, with his Twitter, what he wants to do.
Right, and so does Ted.
That's Government propaganda is I think how much, just back to that funding piece of it, like, to call it that's a stretch.
It's not just a stretch. It's an outright lie. You fucking know better. Listen, Ted Cruz is not this man of the people that he claims to be. He went to Harvard and Yale. He's from Canada. He doesn't have anything to do with any of the stuff that he claims. Even his weird beard is fake. Like, nothing about Rafael Cruz is what he claims to be. And yet he's out there fleecing his flock, stealing all their money, yelling about Big fucking Bird.
You know who does fund Sesame Street?
You? Or you?
Viewers like you.
The viewers. Oh, there you go. I remember like forcing my parents to send money to Channel 26 because I wanted the Bert and Ernie.
I mean, some of those
stuff Bert and Ernie's.
The giveaway drives for the kids, they are
very effective.
They're very effective
because they really make those little toys look pretty fun.
They got hidden compartments. There's always a hidden compartment where you can open up Thomas the Tank Engine, and now
the grown-ups who are doing the pitch to the children seem pretty trustworthy, and we kids are like, yeah, well, that lady said it was good. All you had to do was call this number. She made it sound very easy, Mom. I don't know why you're not doing it.
Yeah. It's not even long distance.
Yeah, right. Long distance.
Right.
That was an old man on his porch.
Oh, wow. God, now I need to go look. This is why I just have all my tweets they delete after 2 weeks now.
Speaking of old men sitting around, Greg Abbott. who refuses to stand up for Texas. Now, I want to point out that this is an image we're showing of Greg Abbott in his wheelchair. Greg Abbott is in a wheelchair because a tree fell on him, his neighbor's tree. He sued his neighbor to now owes him $14,000 a month for and he then has proceeded to use every opportunity he can to injure disabled people in Texas.
It's a sick dude.
Would you like some examples of that? I asked leadingly.
Roll them on in.
A federal judge ruled Wednesday that Governor Greg Abbott's executive order prohibiting mask mandates in schools violated the Americans with Disabilities Act, freeing local officials to go back and put their mandates back in place. The order comes after a months-long legal dispute between parents, a disability rights organization, and Texas officials over whether the state was violating the 1990 law known as the ADA by not allowing school districts to require masks. U.S. District Judge Lee Yeakel, that's a great name.
It's a great name for a district judge.
Barred Attorney General Ken Paxton from enforcing Abbott's order. The spread of COVID-19 poses an even greater risk to children with special health needs, the judge said. Children with certain underlying conditions who contract COVID-19 are more likely to experience severe acute biological effects and to require admission to the hospital and the hospital's intensive care unit, which may in fact be upstairs, so Greg Abbott can't visit them.
No.
The judge...
No, because...
No, they've got elevators.
The American with Disabilities
Act says that he has to be able to get up there. The idea that this guy in a wheelchair was hung on the ADA... This isn't even the first time. This is like the fifth or sixth time that he has been brought down by the ADA. It's unbelievable. So when we tell jokes about Greg Abbott and just kind of wheel him out there for you to enjoy, don't feel bad for him. I tell you that this is an example of a time where he really stepped in it, but, you know, he can't because his legs don't work.
Right, he's insane. He's insane. I don't know where you want me to go with this.
Well, finally, he knows what it's like to have the shoe on the other foot. Not that he can tell. Because he can't feel his shoes, you know.
Yo, he doesn't stop. Just keeps going.
Well, I, unlike Greg Abbott, don't have brakes. Just saying.
They're going to take us off.
You want to take a break? Who's going to take us off?
I know.
The censors?
Yeah, right?
Right. White Tiger, you going to cut our mics?
We're not there yet.
I don't think it's going to happen. Hasn't happened yet. I think we're good. We've said a lot worse. I've said a lot worse.
We should be back after this break?
Yeah, we're going to take a break. We'll come rolling back right after this. You're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
Faithful, be pure, be clean, and listen to your dreams. Listen to your dreams. Don't be pushed by your problems. Not led by your dreams. Be patient, be perfect, and be pure, as smooth and silver and gold. If you don't, if you don't step forward, step step forward. You always in the same place. So step forward and step out of the same place. And step in space. And try to live the human race. Life is an experiment. The more you experiment, you make the way better for each other. You must live by faith, faith, and not by fear. Don't live by fear. You know nothing. You don't need no nothing. Don't be pushed by your problems. Be led. Be led by your dreams. If you don't walk, you won't get it. And if you don't step forward, you won't have it. You're always in the same place, running the same race. In the east, read the beast. Can't have no peace. Life is an experiment. The more you experiment, you make a better man. You make life by faith. Waiting at heaven gates, and we no fear. There's no wickedness. Conquer death. So death is us.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Yo, what's poppin', yo?
And Paper White over here is upset because the Ravens just got a really bad call.
Yeah, and then there's a bad sack.
Yeah, and then Lamar just got sacked. We're not giving like football scores or like details or anything. We're mostly interested in how upset it makes Brian.
And I just love how upset football makes everybody else.
I hate you for that.
But the one thing I don't do is I know it's so volatile. I don't tweet about it though. I just say because I know the buttons that I can push and like
and all these like Ohio and Sparty people like at the beer festival, and I just I wouldn't serve them. I was like, no, if they came, I left the tap. I was like, somebody else has to. I'm not giving it to
I'll
them.
serve you.
Yeah, you can't. I'm not doing that. And I had and like East Lansing won, but I had this one lady like yell at me for like 10 minutes about Harbaugh sucks and he's had 10 years. I'm like, 10 years ago he was in the Super Bowl against his brother. Like, what are you talking about, lady? And she's like, it's been his team for. I'm like, he wasn't there 10 years ago.
What I've noticed is
drunk idiot.
Just in following sports in general, I know enough about football just because it is that sport in this country that everybody else is still so emotionally wrapped up that I can still like weave into these conversations and I can just push certain buttons sometimes.
But I had a bunch of other like Michigan fans come up to me and like, let's talk about things, and like we kind of pep each other up and stuff after. And then we beat the shit out of Indiana, so it was fine.
There you go. See, there it is.
They're not a real
builds community.
Indiana's not a real place. Okay, there's 2 Big Ten schools in Indiana, but neither of them are any good.
Right, I mean.
Except the other one, Purdue, boiler up, definitely beat East Lansing. So, Sparty, you green and white bastards.
Look, there we go. There's our
so mad.
It's our college football update.
It's like a religion.
College football rage.
Go on, do your thing now, so I can calm down.
So exactly. We're gonna go ahead into. I think this week's Test Talk is, I don't know.
It's a little less depressing than usual.
Look at these dead ass birds. Yeah, I thought that
we're gonna get Count Fifth to remix that into a cool song.
A cool song.
That's gonna be your theme.
That needs to be the next EDM hit.
Yeah. Look at these dead ass birds. Look at these dead ass birds. Yeah.
Dead ass birds.
I just wrote it.
There it is.
That's it.
But no, I thought it being Veterans Day, and again, thank you to any and all who have
Armistice
served.
Day, as your people call it.
Look, I just was born there.
Yeah.
Those
It's your pink money.
That's not, look, I just spend it.
That's right.
But yeah, again, it's Veterans Day, and I think obviously in this country.
Also my grandmother's birthday.
They fall in the same?
They stopped the war for her second birthday.
There you go. That's
what they did. They're like, they gotta stop the war. She's too cute.
But the Post did, I thought, some really interesting report and some dope reporting. Teresa Vargas, who always is in the Metro section, just has a lot of interesting.
This is the Air Force guy.
Yeah, what?
This is the Air Force guy who lives on the bench.
Well, yes, the writer was Teresa Vargas, but yes,
right.
And she highlighted 3 veterans who were also members of the LGBTQ community. So it starts with this gentleman, Thomas Banks, and he was remembering a time in the article where he had gave a birthday card to a friend while he was in the military, and it had the phrase in it, "Love always," right?
Sure.
Very, very simple.
Seems reasonable.
Seems simple, right?
Goes to everybody.
Put that in.
Yeah.
And the recipient of the card
outed him.
Well, no. He came under investigation in the military, and they actually brought in Thomas and questioned him, and they wanted to know, what exactly did you mean by love always?
Oh my God.
And this is during the mid 80s, and he stated in the article,
not
he
even
knew
don't
better.
ask, don't tell.
Exactly, he knew better to admit that he was gay at that point. But then they go into Banks's post-military life, and he had a successful career. He was in retail management, falls into some hard times after the passing of his partner, and his mom shortly after that becomes unhoused. Right,
sure.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just trauma that I think would affect anybody.
Yeah.
But his story was used to kind of frame a change in military benefits that I wasn't aware of. So I guess in September of this year, I kind of timed around the 10th anniversary of the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yep.
Which, if anybody's unaware, was the military's policy on.
That was Bill Jeff's idea.
Yes, right.
It's I don't want to deal with this. Y'all don't talk about it.
Let's just talk about it.
Cool, man.
Right. So the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It sounds exactly what it is.
You can't ask me shit, and I ain't talking.
There it is. Right. But basically, they changed the policy on service members from the LGBT community, and the VA issued guidance that basically said if you were given anything other than an honorable discharge because of sexual orientation, gender identity, HIV status, you'll be eligible for full benefits. Which is just, I didn't even put that together of that being a thing prior.
There's a whole bunch of veterans who were kicked out of the military with less than honorables or even dishonorables, whose only reason for being kicked out was that they're not heteronormative.
Yeah, which is
ridiculous.
Yeah, you're losing folks who want to fight for this country.
Yo, if you want to fight for me, please by all means sign up, because Lord knows I ain't doing that shit.
And I again just thinking about the benefits that go with serving in the military, and if you have a dishonorable discharge,
they evaporate.
They evaporate. So the story kind of continues on, and Vargas interviews an outreach worker who was also a veteran, a gentleman by the name of Jim Davis. And he was mentioned like, oh, now I have a new option for folks if I come across an unhoused person who is LGBTQ and they're a veteran as well.
And they're carrying this dishonorable or less than honorable or whatever. We can undo that.
We can undo that. We can get housing vouchers, things of that nature.
God, that's tremendous.
And I thought that was huge.
This might save a lot of lives.
Exactly. And obviously we know like we've talked about the unhoused population on this show before.
Did Joey B do this? This was the thing that he brought in with the new VA and
I did the article didn't go deep into that. I did find
it didn't exist
prior, and I don't think that administration probably would be down.
So does it sound like maybe he supports the troops?
I would say all of them.
All of the troops.
All of the troops. And the gentleman, Jim Davis, had an interesting quote from the article where it said, Davis, who's 60, decided to enlist in the Air Force the day Ronald Reagan was shot.
Oh, my God.
But had known since the age of 8 that he was gay, he says. And during his time in the military, he used the church to hide that part of himself before moving to the D.C. area and getting a job with Pathways, which was one of the outreach.
I know about Pathways,
right?
Sure.
He spent 15 years living in the woods in Tennessee along the Appalachian Trail.
That sounds lovely.
Right. And this is someone who served in the military, right? And
so he's probably well equipped.
Right, but it shouldn't
I want to go live in the woods.
Well, yeah,
I like the woods.
You like the woods. Someone shouldn't.
My wife doesn't like the woods.
Right.
She's from New York City. They don't have
different jungle.
Yeah. They've got these fake woods. It's called Central Park.
So then the third person they introduce is introduced by the gentleman, Mr. Davis, is Andrea Anderson, who's also an unhoused LGBTQ veteran. And Andrea shares a story that when they were a teenager, her mom brought her to a psychiatrist who said, and I quote, I think you brought him in just in time. And the psychiatrist then tried to explain men walk face up, hips straight. This is during her again, and it's just, again, the framing of the story to get to the point where like Anderson then joins the army and has to join as a man's man. But just joins as a straight man. But as she's quoted saying, like, she had to put on a show and had to play the game and couldn't let anyone know what she was really feeling inside.
Much like Tom Cruise.
Right. And then, like, I think, again, luckily, like, working with the outreach group Pathways, able to kind of, like, legally change her name and, like, get a needed prosthetic that... Did she get,
supportive services?
Yeah,
and
supportive services, was able to help raise credit score. And it's just, again, giving, I guess, basic services to folks.
So she has, like, life now?
Again, yeah, a productive citizen.
And she's a member of society and all that stuff.
Right, got her own apartment.
The party of life must be thrilled about that.
Yeah, so I just thought the reporting on this subject matter...
Because all lives matter, I hear.
Yeah, they do all.
Right.
They should all matter. I just was interesting subject matter and reporting, especially on Veterans Day, that, like, we should kind of be ashamed as a nation. We're treating folks who kind of make the sacrifice for our freedoms as citizens when we're not even acknowledging them as citizens, and I guess until recently, until a couple months ago. And
when did black folks get eligible for the GI Bill?
Right.
Like yesterday?
Yes, I was going to say. There might still be some red tape in certain areas. Right. And then the gentleman from the beginning of the article, Thomas Bank, they finished it with a quote that I think is just evergreen whenever we see anybody who's unhoused, which says, don't assume when you see someone who's homeless that they're lazy. He says, as we walk to like a familiar bench in McPherson Square where he was at, he says, everyone has a story. So it was just it was an interesting article about how if you give folks the resources that they deserve, especially if you're fighting... Again,
especially if you support the troops and believe that all lives matter, this is simple. Right in your wheelhouse. Yeah. These are some troops whose lives matter. You could just support them.
You could.
I feel like this is a bipartisan issue. Somehow,
look at that.
Somehow, I don't think we're going to get the support from the other guys.
Yeah, might not.
Why is that? Is it because they're intellectually inconsistent and a bunch of liars?
Well, they might have. But even then, I was going to say they're evangelical faction might have issues with that. But even there, I think we're supporting the troops. I think, doesn't that trump all?
Trump all. Yeah, definitely. You want to ring the bell on that one?
I guess so. I rung it unintentionally earlier. And
go find an unhoused veteran and support whoever that person is. And help them.
Just help them.
I mean, don't just deride them and throw cash at them or whatever. Ask them about their lives and what can you do to help. It's not that hard. It's just people. Often they're interesting and have fun stuff to tell you about.
As most humans do.
Yeah, it's a funny thing about that.
Yeah, if you start to drill down and have conversations.
Sit down and talk to people. You might enjoy it.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's get to a new segment that we have called Ouch! This first one here, I'm just going to read you this actual quote. I hope you're not driving when you read this. For a few hours late last month, Tesla cars began behaving erratically after receiving an overnight software update. Cars suddenly started slamming on the brakes at highway speeds. Owners reported risking collisions. CEO Elon Musk took to Twitter to acknowledge a problem with the software and vowed that the update was being rolled back. Ordinarily, that would have been the end of it for Musk, whose company has often flouted standard regulatory practices. But late last month, Tesla unexpectedly reported the glitch to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and issued an official recall notice detailing the problem, which has affected as many as 12,000 vehicles. So, we all are thinking about, the Teslas are kind of self-driving. They have all these features and whatever. It's yeah, but you know things about computers.
The software updates is a little troubling with all of these cars at this point because you're going to test software as best as you can, but you really can only test it when it's in real-world situations.
How many patches get issued? Yeah. They send out an update, and 10 minutes later, there's a patch for the update.
These things are just catching up. I don't know if I have a Tesla, but this update just comes from your Wi-Fi over the air. It's close to
the cell signal, and my 84 Monte Carlo is safe. That's what I know. It doesn't have no computer in it.
It doesn't. I'm pretty sure
it has a carburetor.
I was going to say it has some pollutant in it. No computer, just pollutant.
8 miles to the gallon, baby.
Oh.
Whatever. I go really fast and it's loud. I don't care what you think.
I know. Don't worry. When the waves crash, when the waves come up the Potomac, it's okay. You're there. I'm there.
My kid already knows that it's hers when she gets old enough. So this thing is going to be out there.
Do you think there's going to be you're going to be allowed to drive a car like that?
Yeah. Well, she is. My theory is that my kids will mostly drive electric cars. By the time they're old enough to drive, they'll be electric cars. But I want it. I want this. You know the way that you can still buy leaded gas for old enough airplanes. I figure this should still be around. I don't know. I haven't driven it in 3 years. It's too expensive to drive.
Eventually, yeah, it's gonna be very expensive 20 years from now to drive.
I don't care.
Yo, when it's gonna be, the tax they're gonna put on that for you to drive that?
I don't care.
The carbon tax that's hitting that
little piece of me, despite all of this squishy, progressive, latte, soy, whatever they want to call me.
Look at you.
That likes driving a loud, fast, carbureted V8.
It's the American in you.
It feels good. It goes fast. It's totally irresponsible. It's got a loud radio. It's great. It sounds just like that when I hit the other guy.
Oh, did someone get hit outside?
Right. Oh! Just waiting for it. All right. The next segment in Ouch.
I love this new segment.
This is impossible. This is sort of right at the heartstrings.
I don't even know what it. Is this the
baby switch?
I don't even. I read through this and I don't.
This hurts.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. But it also has something that features heavily on our show in this. When Daphne Cardinale became pregnant with her second daughter in January of 2019, she was overjoyed. The in vitro fertilization process was a success, and she savored the next 9 months knowing the pregnancy would probably be her last. Sweet story so far. But when the girl was born that September, Daphne and her husband Alexander were shocked Alexander took several steps away from the birthing table, backed up against the wall when he first saw the baby's jet black hair and complexion that was darker than his and his wife's and their first daughter. Ugh.
Don't you hate it
And
when
if
it
you're
happens
looking
like
on
that?
the video, you can see these are some very white people. Yeah. Even after they brought the girl home, Alexander could not shake the dissonance. The couple's family and friends noticed, saying that they were surprised the girl looked so different and even asked if the embryo had been donated. Not a nice question to ask.
Ooh, these people are indelicate.
Alexander sometimes felt that he had the joke that the baby girl was not his daughter. Well, as it turned out, she wasn't. According to a lawsuit that they filed on Monday, the fertility clinic that facilitated in the in vitro pregnancy, which will remain unnamed on this show, implanted another couple's embryo
Right. Good job.
inside Daphne.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Their own
Oh,
embryo
there it is.
was implanted in the other mother,
Nothing to see here.
and so they switched. Basically, they got it wrong. Can bring the other one back. Show the other kid and the other mother. Go ahead, Brian.
And the other mother?
Yeah, show. Well,
No, it's not
there
the
you go.
other
And the other family. There you go. Yep. A little difference in the color there.
Yeah, that hair.
Little issue.
I mean, you have a healthy child.
So eventually it turned out that they switched, and then they, switched each other's babies back, and it's fine. But also medical malpractice, and everybody's getting sued.
That you can't. You traded. This isn't.
In other words, the Cardinals allege
how many
that
months was into this?
the fertility
After months.
clinic mixed up the embryos, a mistake that forced the couples to trade their babies after months of raising them.
This is like when they get what's the name when the Cavs drafted who was it? Who did they draft and then send them out? So when LeBron came back on there, they drafted somebody and then they drafted him early and then they just before this beginning of the season they got him out. I'm blanking on who it was.
Actually, this reminds me. I don't know if either of you guys or maybe your significance saw this show, Jane the Virgin.
I don't watch it.
I know it exists. I know that show exists. Yeah.
So pretty much the premiere episode, the first episode, Jane go in for a normal checkup, but apparently the doctor was so drunk and puts an embryo in her, and she ends up becoming pregnant.
Nice.
So pretty much this year, I'm thinking it's like someone must have been drunk, to switch.
Well, it's not like you can tell from looking at the embryo what color the baby is.
But still, it's like. If you have vials and
a lot of barcodes and protocols.
You wouldn't know this.
Yeah, this should be the infrastructure.
This is unbelievably heartbreaking. I mean, no part of this works.
Yeah, I don't even. There's no funny in it.
No, it's just awful. I didn't put it in there because it's funny. The segment's called "Ouch."
I know exactly.
This hurts.
When I read it, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, that's the right reaction. It hurts.
No,
I just wanted to share my pain after I read that with somebody else. Now you all have to feel all this pain.
It is kind of like that because it's like the Cavs traded Wiggins for Kevin Love.
Yeah,
So it's the same
It's
thing.
a lot like that. It's basically the same idea. Like Cam Newton got signed back to the
Love wins.
Carolina.
Love wins.
It's the same idea. All right, speaking of love,
You get an extra one of those, right? I'm sorry. You get whatever it costs, like to have that.
yeah, you get an extra baby.
Like, yeah. You can do that if you want to come in
round
again.
of IVF's on us.
It's on us, right?
That's right. Yeah, we'll
You
make
don't
sure
have
you
to-
get your own. Matter of fact, we'll put your baby in its own fridge, just to be sure.
Right.
This is your fridge. It's got your name on it. No, we won't even put our Cokes in there. That's for you.
Just for you.
All right, down in New Zealand, which is the land of hobbits, which is true. Some Kiwi folks, they were digging around in their garden, and they found something, and they thought it was like maybe a mushroom or something, but it turned out It was a potato.
I know. Look at this potato.
It's a 17.4 pound potato. It is like a turkey.
That picture looks like a turkey.
Now, I've grown potatoes before, lots of them. This took several years to get like this. This must have been a potato.
So it's like a potato that's just there. And
yeah, they didn't dig it up. You're supposed to dig up the potatoes at the end of the year when the vines start to turn the right way. And that tells you, like, hey, it's time to go hoe the potatoes. Is literally what you do. That doesn't mean that other thing. And so they excavated this potato and they gave it a name. Do you want to know what they named the potato?
No, I was going to look, but no. What did they name it?
Doug.
Very New Zealand?
Because they dug the potato up. That's true. It's named Doug. Yep. They even built a little cart so they could tow Doug around town. Which they did for a little while until he started to dry up, and then they made French fries out of him.
I was going to say, how long did Doug get driven around the Doug-mobile with his damn potato?
For a little while, a couple weeks. You know, it's New Zealand. I don't even know what their weather's like in New Zealand. They probably make it up. And like, who would know?
Make it up.
They goes like,
careful now.
You know, it's the weather's. You're right.
Careful.
We didn't make it up. They make it up. They're not a protected class. Kiwi's not a protected class. I don't want to rent this house to you. Why not? Because you're Kiwi. That's like, discrimination. No, it's not. Get on, rugby player or whatever. Do the haka. They do the haka. They love the haka. I was like big into that. All right. Also, the All Blacks won yesterday. So they're all very excited right now, which they're going to have to change the name of that team. Yeah. It's named after their jerseys. It's fine. All right.
I'm right, of course.
This last story is about New Jersey, which is, itself pretty awful. But you may remember that we mentioned that there was a guy who won in New Jersey who ran a campaign that cost him less than $200.
Was he a truck driver?
He's a truck driver from South Jersey, and he ran as a Republican.
Truck driver from South Jersey.
Against the state Senate president.
Yes.
Now, weirdly, this guy's name doesn't end in Eni, but his name is Edward Durr. That was a Sopranos kind of a joke. This is what he looks like, though, so he might be on the cast of The Sopranos. We're not totally sure.
Suspenders?
Yep. And this weird necktie.
Long.
And a purple shirt. It turns out he's a raving racist lunatic and has the social media to back it up. I'm not going to read the stuff that he posted.
We can't read because, but
this dude loves a hard R.
Yeah, he does.
He does, and uses it a lot. And
it said something that has gotten, just playing around with things like that has gotten folks killed in other countries.
It has. Charlie Hebdo. Okay, so he made a bunch of Islamophobic comments, a bunch of stuff where he said things about Kamala Harris, lots of QAnon things, said that the Holocaust wasn't real, and it's nuts. And the reason that nobody found out about this until he won is the destruction of local media. There are basically 13 reporters to cover the entire south of New Jersey, where millions of people live. And none of them had the opportunity to run this stuff down or find out about it, and he won. Now we all know that he said all this stuff. Now, I'm not entirely sure that this would have prevented him from getting elected.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because the Republican voters seem to be sort of generally okay with people who say this kind of stuff. But maybe. I mean, he only won by 2,200 votes. So if 2,300 people had stayed home and been like, I can't vote for a guy who definitely uses the F word for gay people, then that might have been enough.
Now that the local news piece is
That's the story here.
I just think
it's not this guy.
It isn't. It isn't that. And the assault on news in general is something I think we should be really afraid of. And then even when you tie this in to the books, and you just look at these certain things that if you follow
Which
any
they're
type of
actually
history,
talking about burning now.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
actually,
like in real actual school boards are actually talking about burning. They want to make sure that these books don't get into the hands of these kids, so they're going to burn them.
And there is this general distrust,
Which there's
for
a book
media.
about called Fahrenheit 451. But guess what? It's getting burned.
It's burned. I don't know. I think these should be alarming.
We have in abstract talked about the fall of local media as a potential threat to democracy.
Because it gives like even I think it was in Stockton where we were talking about it, like again, someone who brings in something like Universal UBI and
a fake news story literally
sinks them after that. And again, someone's gonna fill the void of this. And people might feel like, but there is like,
but so far that actually turns out not to be the case. People are not filling the void.
Well, but I say they are filling the void with
garbage.
Garbage, yeah, exactly. Like that's what they fill the void with. And I don't know what the solve is for this, because people have their issues.
Publicly financed journalism.
That's where I would go with.
I mean, you've got to have public media. You've got to have reporters who are not beholden to advertisers, who are not beholden to donors, who are not beholden to some sort of corporation with an agenda, whose job it is to go, hey, look at that. Write it down and go, hey, y'all, this is a thing that happened.
And I think what can get even more scary about this is that if this continues to happen, and it's probably not as drastic, but it's similar in the sense, even with healthcare now, folks see the backlash towards that profession. And it's like, all right, maybe you always wanted to be a healthcare professional or you always wanted to be a journalist.
And nurses are retiring in droves because of the stresses. Doctors as well. People don't want to be on school boards anymore because of this direct threat. These are critical parts of our human infrastructure. That's another thing everybody hates. That are what makes our country run. And when we talk about the lack of journalism, the Fourth Estate as an abstract concept, we now have a concrete example of what happens when that void is not filled. This guy is dead to right if anybody knows that he writes these kind of things, says these kind of things, uses a hard R word all the time. Because you can't vote for that. Even if you like everything about it. Even if you use a hard R when nobody's around, you don't vote for that.
Yep.
But nobody found out until after the fact. And that's where we're at. And when we tell you that this stuff is important, when Maddow tells you this stuff is important, because nobody listens to us, that the lack of local media is the death knell for American democracy. This is your harbinger. This is your example that you're going to carry with you when you remind yourself 10 years from now. You know what? It all started in South Jersey, like so many things.
Your country starts banning the books, puts a target on the press, changes the rules
directly in court,
changes the rules to how it works. I don't know. This is how democracies die.
Yeah, it's been a good run.
For some,
we had a good time.
Well, I caught the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I caught the sweet. Woo!
We're just starting to get a little better before we got a whole lot worse.
Woo! Yeah,
you did all right.
I did. Yeah, I got in right when computers just started booming. And things took still a little more time. Yeah,
you threaded that needle well.
Yeah.
Also, craft beer was invented in our lifetimes, so that's pretty.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
We'll take it.
Some might say that they don't like that.
This is how democracy dies, but at least we've got good beer.
Yeah, another distraction. It's another distraction. There it is.
We're all fine. What do you care? You're going to be dead before it's over. Maybe.
I don't know. Everybody's who's living longer.
Let's make it till next week. Next week, you're gone.
Yes, I'm out.
Stevie T from the No Cut Cards show on Plugged In Radio, which is another great network. You should listen to only their show, though, none of the others. Will be here filling in.
If I can get Nicole Hannah-Jones, I'll StreamYard in.
No, we need to.
I'll call you. I'll try.
I'll kick Stevie right out. Y'all come right back.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Get her on the show.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll even start paying you if you can manage that.
I know, right?
Yeah. Peppercorns.
There we go.
You hear this music, which means we come to the end of the show, and we've overrun our time as per usual, despite having no guests. So thanks to our radio partners.
Terrible.
Stitcher, iTunes, Google, all those guys. Come see us at the Rippies, please.
Please, yeah. Come.
Go to therippiesdc.com to get your tickets. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. We assume twice a week.
Twice a week, yeah.
Thanks to our digital media Stromboli, Key Wayne, Baltimore.
Key Wayne.
Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as the Rittenhouse Tears. All right, where can everybody find you on the socials?
At one point in my life, you can find me on Rittenhouse. That's where I live.
Yeah, there you go.
It's tough street to live on now. I'm going to petition for a name change, that damn thing. Where can you find me? On Twitter, at DC Cortez, on Instagram, at CatchemCordy.
And you can find the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR, which is now basically my Twitter since I'm still suspended.
Still suspended.
I think indefinitely.
Yeah, might not be coming back.
And you can find the show on Facebook or Instagram at Rip Chip Chat. And, of course, you can find us every Thursday night at 9:30 here on Rip Radio. I'm Chip. That's Tez. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
Sweeps!